The Farquhar-Hill is still one of my favourite medic weapons in Battlefield 1. Whenever I seem to use this weapon, my score and kill-death ratio improves no matter what map I'm playing, and that's what prompted me to make this video. I've made content looking at this weapon in the past, and I'm sure many of you already knew it was one of my favourites, but I'm using this opportunity to showcase some of the sort of gameplay I managed to get with it, whilst explaining what actually makes it so good. It isn't the best when it comes to stats, and there are other weapons that people swear by, so why is it that the Farquhar-Hill is the reliable choice that I always turn to? With the Farquhar-Hill you have two variants, the optical and the storm. Both are decent weapons, however I prefer the optical for a few reasons. Firstly, you get that optic. It helps a lot when tracking enemies, and as I like to use this weapon at mid-range, it is essential to have a sight that allows me to spot and track enemies over distance. The optical variant also benefits from less spread when aiming down sight, and this is definitely noticeable if you use both variants and test it out. The difference with the Storm is that it has a lot less horizontal and vertical recoil, but as that is not something I have trouble with, the optical does just fine. You also have to consider that the Farquhar-Hill has a 3-bullet kill up to 54 meters, which decimates enemies and is really effective. You also have to combine that with the 4-round kill after 54 meters, meaning that even at that longer range it's still a viable option. The amount of ammo you get in a magazine makes 3-bullet kills very strong, as you can take out multiple enemies, and although the time to kill isn't very quick, you will be more accurate as the fire rate isn't fast either. I know that sounds like a negative point with this weapon, but think about it. If you have a slower fire rate, you're more likely to hit your shots because you're not spamming into the distance. Now of course that puts you at a disadvantage if you were needing to spam bullets to get a kill at closer range against maybe somebody with a shotgun or an SMG. But at that mid-range you will certainly be more accurate, and that is why this gun is very strong in the hands of somebody like myself who benefits from having a weapon with a slower rate of fire. The Farquhar-Hill is a weapon that shares quite a lot of similarities with the fairly new Howl automatic sniper. This was a medic weapon that was introduced with the Apocalypse DLC. With the same maximum and minimum damage, the same fire rate, and the same muzzle velocity, both weapons feel fairly similar. The recoil is also quite similar with both weapons, however the spread of the Howl penalises you far more when aiming down sight and moving. Which weapon you choose almost comes down to the visuals of the weapon and how you enjoy using it when playing. You need to take into account the different sights you get on each weapon and work out which one you prefer using, but they are both fairly similar in terms of their statistics. There were a couple of alterations I made to my infantry game a few months ago, and in doing so I've become more accurate overall, especially when using the medic weapons, in particular the Farquhar-Hill. It's a weapon I suggest you use and then implement a couple of these tips. Firstly, I tried my best to control positions to a greater extent to how I've done previously. I used to have a tendency, and still do from time to time, to kill an enemy and then rush their position immediately, searching for more people to take down. This works sometimes, and as aggressive play like that often gets you on the objective and earning points, it can be quite lucrative. That being said, it does leave you exposed, and unless you have a shotgun or fast firing SMG, you'll get caught out by enemies a lot. More recently, I've been trying to position myself in places of control, giving myself an advantage on the enemy I'm trying to take down. If that position is on an objective, then that is even better, as squad mates can spawn on me, and as a medic I can keep friendly players healed and revived when possible. Adding this passive playstyle to my game wasn't difficult at all, and I want to stress it is not the same as camping. Camping in a corner is a terrible tactic and is only used by players that can't rely on their aim and awareness to get them kills. Being passive and controlling a point to give your team a tactical advantage is a good thing to learn, and I can say from personal experience that the Farquhar-Hill is a decent weapon to take in this situation. Another tip that is worth noting is not moving whilst aiming down sight and shooting. With Battlefield 1 you are penalised for moving whilst firing, and this can often lead to shots going astray. The Farquhar-Hill is fairly tolerant when it comes to moving whilst aiming down sight, and as this is something I still haven't managed to remove from my game entirely, it makes the weapon a good choice for me. In a perfect world you want to be spotting your enemy whilst moving, stopping, shooting, and then moving again between shots or whilst finding another target. Moving makes you more difficult to hit, but as I mentioned, whilst firing it has a negative effect on your accuracy. You'll definitely see yourself improving your accuracy and getting a higher accuracy at the end of a game if you take the Farquhar-Hill and play slightly more passive. That can be expected. But what it also did for me is improve my aim across the board, so now I'm better with snipers, I'm slightly better at closer ranges too, and I don't know, it just fits in with Battlefield 1. I think the SLRs and the medic gameplay is something quite unique, and not really something that we could experience in BF4 that had a slightly different meta when it came to trying to get kills and getting as high a KD as possible. So there we have it, the Farquhar-Hill, probably my favourite weapon in the class as of now. I switch it up between the Farquhar, the 8.25, sometimes I'll use the M1907, maybe the RSC, but the Farquhar is the gun I always go back to, opting to take the optical variant. It's my favourite of the two, and I just think the gun is quite fun to use. Overall, it's a really nice addition, and I was so happy when this gun came out with the Turning Tides DLC. Thanks for watching guys, if you did enjoy, leave a like down below, and I'll catch you in the next video.